Nigeria. DJ, music.
That is the situation in Nigeria with protests going on with in regards to the high cost of living. And this is the diary of a young black king on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. It is 35 minutes past 12 p.m. East African time. You can tell me where you are watching, listening from. And today we're going to be talking about economic deathbeds and why most African countries are going through economic meltdowns. And that is why I started with that video of the protests that are currently going on in Nigeria. Nigeria being allegedly one of Africa's economic giants, allegedly, and rightly so, because it is one of those countries in Africa that have the highest population. It is one of those countries that are major producers of oil products, petroleum products. So it has always been considered the African economic giant, but right now it is going through one of its toughest economic periods, with the cost of living being very high, the inflation hitting it's the inflation being sky high. The Nigerian naira, the exchange rate between the Nigerian naira and the US dollar being in the pits. And I'm referring to the US dollar. I'll tell you why the US dollar is very important in Africa in the current infrastructure and in the current systematic setting of how things operate in Africa. Maybe in future things will change, but as for now, most African countries depend on imports. They import electronics, they import food, they even import foodstuffs, despite them being in one of the in the most fertile place on earth. They still have to import food. They import everything and export nothing, or they export minerals and import everything else. So that is why the US dollar affects economy in Africa that much. The moment your currency in exchange to the US dollar is not doing so well, then what that means is your country is gonna have a tough time. And it is not a good thing, but in the current infrastructure, in the current systematic setting, in the economic infrastructure that operates on the Bretton Woods institutions, then that is the reality of the situation. So we are going to be asking ourselves why most African countries are going through economic meltdowns. And right now we are having at least 3 or 4 countries that, many countries are going through economic hardships, but we have 3 or 4 right now in Africa that are in the extreme, that you can look and say, to be honest, that country is not doing well. And one of those countries is, of course, Nigeria. The other country is, of course, Ghana. We also have Benin and some other countries that you look at them and then most countries in Africa are not doing well, but those ones are the worst case scenarios. And the question will be, why are most African countries going through these economic meltdowns? And what is it that we can do to try and reshuffle the situation? What can we do to change things? Of course, in the current infrastructure, and what new infrastructure can we introduce that is going to help us maybe change things a little bit, because it is not a good thing when we have all these countries experiencing economic meltdown. Several African countries have experienced financial breakdowns or economic crises at various points in recent history, and some examples include, we had Zimbabwe, which experienced one of the worst economic meltdowns that we have seen in Africa. That was in the early 2000s. This led to the collapse of its currency and severe economic hardship for its citizens. So I remember in my business class in high school, being taught about the hyperinflation that happened in Zimbabwe a few years ago. That was in the early 2000s. And I was told the inflation occurred because the government of Zimbabwe decided to print currency. I believed that story at that time. It made sense to me at that time, and due to the fact that I did not know much about how the global financial infrastructure works, and of course, how nothing works the way we think it does, and of course, how systems are tailored. I always use the word tailored. I did not know about how systems are tailored to make sure that Africa and African people in this case remain in the dark and remain poor. So the narrative that I was taught, what I was taught was that Zimbabwe went through an economic breakdown because the government decided to print money. And I remember my teacher of business talking about how the hyperinflation was so extreme that you had to carry a lot of money for you to go and buy a basic commodity like bread, and it made sense at that time. And you have to look at it and by the way, the hyperinflation in Zimbabwe in the early 2000s led to it losing its currency. It now does not have a currency and operates on the US dollar. And I quickly remember another lecturer teaching me about something called investigative journalism, and he told me, when you are investigating a case, the first thing that you always need to look at is motive. You look at the motive. What was the motive behind? Who would benefit if such and such occurred? Who would benefit in a scenario where this and this went wrong? And that is what will make you know who did it. And you look at it this way, and right now Zimbabwe does not have a currency, and it uses the US dollar. And so let us apply the motive philosophy here. Who would benefit more if Zimbabwe started using the US dollar over their currency? And when you answer yourself that question, then you're gonna know what really transpired, what led to the collapse and the hyperinflation in the early. It was in the late, not the early. It was in the late 2000s. And of course, there are many reasons that you can cite for the African economy being on a deathbed, and many African countries going through meltdowns, and some rightly so. For example, you can talk about corruption. It is a factor. It is not the only factor or the main factor, but it is a major factor contributing to this, because if you look at, I wanted to say most, then I realized it's not most, it is all. If you look at all African leaders that we have, African politicians, presidents, at one point or the other, they have been involved in a corruption scandal of some sort. And I was checking on why would whoever orchestrated the hyperinflation and the fall of the Zimbabwean dollar, the Zimbabwean currency, be so interested in Zimbabwe? And I got the answer very quickly, because in Zimbabwe there is chrome, there is gold, there is coal, there is lithium, and there is diamond. There is even something called platinum group metal, the PGM. The country boasts the second largest platinum deposit and high-grade chromium ores in the world, with approximately 2.8 billion tons of PGM. PGM is the platinum group metal, and 10 billion tons of chromium ore being exported every year. So that is just to answer you on why do you think, why would they go for Zimbabwe? Why would the Zimbabwean's economy be among the first to be hit? And that one was hit so well. And so the narrative has always been that the government mismanaged funds, and then at one point they decided that they were now going to start printing money. And I was talking about how one of the other reasons why this might be the case is corruption. It is not the only factor, it is not the main factor, but it is a big factor. And for that, let us do a small case study, an experiment. So I'll pick African countries randomly, then I'll pick their president, and I'm gonna Google and look to see if the presidents have ever been involved in a corruption scandal. If we find one that has never been involved in a corruption scandal, I'll end the show. So I'll just pick random African countries, just Google if their presidents have ever been in a corruption scandal. And let me begin with Ghana, because I'm going to be talking about Ghana today. So Ghana is under the leadership of President Nana Akufo-Addo. Let us check if Nana Akufo-Addo has been. So I'll just Google Nana Akufo-Addo corruption plus corruption and see if he has been involved in a corruption case. Let us see. And they're about, I've been scrolling since I got into this page. I can count more than 10 reports of scandals and controversies that have that have hit the government of Nana Akufo-Addo. And this is funny because the first one is he even plagiarized his inauguration speech. You can never make this up. So that was just a random example. So apparently Nana Addo even plagiarized his whole inauguration speech, and he lifted parts of his speech from addresses by former US President Bill Clinton and George Bush. So he started by even stealing the speech before anything else. That was on January 7th, 2017. So he has been hit by bribery among parliamentary appointment committee members. I can't even count the accusations that I'm seeing here. There was a whole scandal surrounding the official residence and office for former President John Mahama. There was a scandal there. There was he was accused of breaking laws by he was accused for the release of the Delta Force 8. There was a a 2.25 billion US dollars bill. There was a 2.25 billion US dollars bond saga that was under him and the minister, the finance minister, Mr. Ofori Atta, in April 2017, the minister that he fired later. So that was one. He picked a random name, a random African name. And if you are in the comments, you can tell me a random African name, and we are going to look and see if their president has been involved in a corruption scandal. If they have not, if they are clean and they don't have a corruption scandal accusation, I'm gonna end the show right there. I'm gonna know I'm giving you propaganda, and I'm gonna end the show immediately. Let us look at another African country, just a random name. Let us look at Central African Republic. Central African Republic is under the leadership of President Faustin Tudare. So has Faustin Tudare been involved in any corruption scandal? Let us find out. This is just to show you how corruption is one of the reasons, not the main reason. The main reason is what we are going to be talking about later. But corruption is also part of the reason. It is part of the cause. It is part of the problem. So let me just Google Faustin Tudare corruption. And let us see if there is the number of corruption cases that have been, and before I even Google, I can assure you there are more than 10. So let me read for you just a few of. My internet is really sluggish, but you get what I'm trying to say. I'm talking about how if you look at any African country, just pick their leader, he has been involved in a corruption scandal at one point or the other. And it is corruption scandals are always billions and billions of money. They don't steal a few millions, they steal billions and billions and billions, because they always know nobody is going nobody is really going to do anything to them anyway, because this is Africa and they are above the law. And so I'm looking at some of the corruption scandals in Central African Republic that have hit the government of Faustin Tudare, and there are several of them. He at one time actually blamed the West for plundering into West Africa's affairs. I didn't know so that is the case in each and every country. If you look at every African country, you look at their leader, there's going to be, go to Uganda, look at Yoweri Museveni, you won't exhaust the number of corruption cases. Go to Nigeria and look at Bola Tinubu and the presidents before him, you're not going to exhaust the number of corruption scandals that have been put against him. Go to Ghana, look at the president. Go to Somalia, look at the president. So corruption is definitely one of the major causes of the economic meltdowns that we are having in Africa. Because in as much as the system is designed against us, in as much as there is so much that we do not see that happens behind, the smoking mirror, with systems that have been tailored to keep Africa poor, and of course many other things. The little that remains, the little that we remain with after the system and everything the little that remains in African countries get stolen, get laundered. And therefore, they steal even money meant for drugs, they steal money meant for anything. They don't really care. And so corruption has got to be one of the biggest reasons why African countries are going through economic meltdowns. most African countries, but a few of them are in extreme. Nigeria, of course, also despite being one of Africa's largest economy, has faced economic challenges due to fluctuating oil prices, corruption, and inadequate infrastructure. That is according to a report that I was reading on what really is the problem with Nigeria right now, a country that is supposed to be the economic power hub of Africa. What is wrong with Nigeria at the moment? What is Africa's power hub, Africa's economic hub? Apart from corruption, of course, and apart from the fact that their president is Bola Tinubu, what else is the cause of this? Why is Nigeria going through a meltdown right now? You look at another country like Angola, which heavily relies on oil exports, and fluctuations in oil prices have led to the economic instability and financial challenges for the country. So you look at literally almost so many countries in Africa are going through economic meltdowns, economic hardships, and it is a disaster in the making if it is not already made. You look at another country like DRC, which has faced persistent economic challenges. For DRC, I might say it is majorly because of the political instability. And in the midst of the war, in the midst of the chaos, the looting that goes on in that country, the looting from the leaders, from the politicians, not the leaders, the looting from the politicians, the looting from the foreigners who come to these countries allegedly saying that they are coming to bring peace, like the MONUSCO troops that are just withdrawing from DRC. And so DRC is also another country that is really going through it. And I'm going to be talking about DRC in a few. South Africa, which is also, many people think South Africa is this stable, rich African country, but it's also experiencing economic difficulties with very slow economic growth and high unemployment rates. I don't want to add corruption because it's there, but when I talk about high unemployment rates in South Africa, it is actually one of the reasons why you even saw South Africans chasing away other African people who are living there, saying that they were there to take their jobs because there are no jobs there. So even the native South Africans, the South Africans the South African nationals were chasing away other African people from Nigeria and from other African countries, saying that they were there to take their jobs because they look at the situation and it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. And it is even worse in Nigeria, where a lot has been happening in Nigeria with the inflation hitting the highest in years, the inflation rate, the naira doing the poorest it has ever done in the last couple of years. And that was why it even had to take Bola Tinubu's intervention. He released some food to the people, food that was in the ground. He started to release some food to the people just so they don't die of hunger. And you couple that, you add that, you take that and you couple it with other issues that are affecting Nigeria, such as the insecurity and the kidnappings from the Boko Haram. So you take that, you couple it with whatever has been with the tough economic situation, and what you get is suffering, a lot of suffering by the people.
Buyers and sellers haggling over prices of food items. Customers walking away, hoping to get better bargain elsewhere. Others parting away with their hard-earned money, wondering if what they have was worth the price.
Very bad.
Everyday Nigerians bearing the burden of soaring cost of living that seems to be spiraling out of control.
Now here poor person they see the chop. Now here rich person they see the chop. But when something costs like this, nobody feel buy anything. We are fed up.
Barely 2 weeks ago, residents of Minna, the capital of north-central Nigeria's Niger State, took to the streets, hoping for some relief. Government blames food speculators mopping up foodstuff from various local markets across the state for the people's pain. Just Nigeria visits Mina's Kuri market to see the real situation of things.
Things were better before, but now there's no value for money. No matter how much you have, it will finish within a short time, as if someone stole it.
I buy a mudu of rice now, 180. And the mudu of beans is 160. We know they talk about yam.
If you're just joining me, this is the Diary of a Young Black King, and we've been talking about economic deathbeds and why most African countries are going through economic meltdowns. And we were just looking at Nigeria being one of the countries that is going through an economic meltdown right now, with inflation hitting the highest, and of course the Nigerian naira doing really poorly. And in case you're wondering why I keep talking about the Nigerian naira doing poorly against the US dollar, it is because Nigeria is a country that heavily relies on imports from other countries, and the imports have to be settled using the US dollar in the current economic setting, the current economic infrastructure. And therefore, if the US dollar is doing poorly against the Nigerian naira, then of course that will mean there will be a very high cost of living. And one of the reasons why Nigeria is where it is right now was because of policies that were implemented by Bola Tinubu when he took power. And so when Bola Tinubu took power, he made some changes, brought about some economic policies which have turned out to be not so good. One of them was taking away fuel subsidies. I know I talked about this during the Black Hot Fire News update, but for those of you who are not there, so I was talking about how fuel subsidies were removed from the Nigerian people. And fuel subsidies are not a bad thing as such, because they caution citizens from, for example, the cost of gas. By gas, I'm referring to petroleum products. The cost of petroleum products in the international market had gone up. And so that was why the cost of petrol, the cost of diesel was high in almost each and every African country. And leaders enjoy and like blaming it on the Russia-Ukraine war. I'm not going to comment on that. But the cost of gas was high in the international market. And so what countries would do was they would caution their citizens by the use of subsidies, pay part of the fuel cost, and so that the high cost is not burdened on the citizens alone. But so when Bola Tinubu took power, he implemented policies similar to those that William Ruto implemented, and one of them was doing away with fuel subsidies. And doing away with fuel subsidies was a measure in Kenya and in Nigeria, was a measure to increase the amount of money, to have more money to settle debts. Because the main reason why most African countries are in a deathbed, their economies are in a deathbed, but not all hope is lost. That is why I ask, economic deathbeds, things still can change. The main reason why most African countries are in economic deathbeds is because of the Bretton Woods system, the Bretton Woods institutions. That is the loans. And I'm going to be telling you about how I wanted to say most again, then realize it is all. African countries spend almost all of its revenue generated towards paying loans, and therefore nothing is left for development, nothing is left to build better schools, nothing is left to improve the standards of living of the people, nothing is really left for anything apart from paying debts. And therefore one of the reasons why the IMF has been pressuring leaders to do away with the fuel subsidies in Africa. I've seen it in like 5 countries so far. Kenya, I've seen it in Nigeria, I've seen it in Benin, if I'm not wrong. Doing away with the fuel subsidies, it is to increase the money supply so that the governments can be able to pay back loans. And that transfers the burden to the people. And in Africa, I don't know about other countries, but in Africa, the moment you touch on fuel, the moment you touch on gas, the moment you touch on petroleum products, then you've touched on each and every sector in the economy. Because, as I said, most of electricity in Africa, Kenya being one of them, Uganda being one of them, Ghana being one of them, most of the electricity is generated by diesel, by hydropower. Most of the power we use in Africa is hydropower or geothermal. And the two of them use diesel generators to turn the turbine. Sometimes it uses diesel in the production process, and therefore once the price of gas, once the price of petrol, once the price of goes up, then that means the price of electricity goes up also. The price of power, the cost of power. Once the cost of power goes up, then what that means for industries is that the production cost of commodities goes up. And once the production cost goes up, then the running cost of industries goes up. And now industries cannot be able to employ 1,000 people anymore. So what do? They have to lay off 400 people because the production cost is too high, the running cost is too high, the administrative cost is too high. And therefore, 400 people are laid off. Now, 400 people don't have jobs. But that is not the end of it. The production cost of commodities has gone up also. And therefore, the industries and the factories have to raise the prices of the commodities. Some of them being basic commodities such as foodstuffs. And therefore, now foodstuffs can no longer be affordable, and people cannot afford 3 meals a day. And not many people can actually afford 3 meals a day right now. Even in Kenya, not many people can afford 3 meals a day. As a result of punitive policies and most of them are clauses. I came to learn that most of these are clauses in loans. They are clauses in loans, and one of the clauses is the most ridiculous that you're gonna hear of. So the other day, Kenya took a loan. It was a loan from China, and in the loan there was a clause called the NDC, non-disclosure clause. So the non-disclosure clause means that the government cannot disclose the contents of the loan agreement to the public. And it is a public debt. So it is a public debt, but the public cannot know the content that was inside the loans. And so you find that there are clauses in some of these loans that we take. And some of these clauses are punitive, one of them being that one of doing away with fuel subsidies. And that is one of the reasons why Nigeria is where it is right now, with people have even decided to go to the streets. They can't stomach it anymore. And a good day to you, Jiba Jaba, who's just joined me. I hope you had yourself an amazing day yesterday, Jiba Jaba. And so you look at Nigeria, you look at Kenya, you look at all those countries that are doing away with the fuel subsidies, and you wonder, do they really know what they're doing? And then you also realize even arguing from that angle is ridiculous, because we do not even need some of these fuel subsidies. We do not even need to import fuel, because look at Nigeria. Talking about doing away with fuel subsidies in Nigeria is irony in itself. Nigeria being a country that has large deposits of petroleum products, of fuel. So the fact that they are going through this because fuel subsidies, but they have fuel themselves. They have petrol, they have diesel, they have petroleum products, they have crude oil, they have deposits, large deposits of crude oil in Nigeria. So does Ghana. Yeah, so how come we are talking about high fuel prices in countries that export crude oil? Maybe I'm not a financial expert. Maybe there are things I don't understand. Maybe I don't know. But it doesn't make sense to me. Even the whole talk about gas products, crude oil prices in the global market being high. But you are the one producing the crude oil. I know maybe the deposits and that I have to find out, are the deposits in Nigeria enough to fuel Nigeria? And I know they are, because Nigeria actually exports even to Korea. Nigeria exports LPG to Korea, which is a product of it is a product of liquid petroleum. It is a product of crude oil. That is why I'm saying maybe I'm dumb in economics, but I do not understand how a country that produces crude oil is complaining of high prices of crude oil in the international market. Bro, you're the one who's supplying the crude oil to the international market. And so one of the reasons they say this is happening was they're doing away with subsidies. They're doing away with subsidies. I can hear that discussion if it came from a country like Kenya. It's okay, Kenya has crude oil, but in negligible quantities so far, the ones that have been found. The government said it was negligible quantities. Maybe they lied. Probably they lied, but they said the crude oil deposits that are found in Kenya are not enough to fuel Kenya. That is why we still import fuel. So I can hear that discussion from a Kenyan talking about how the cost of living in Kenya is high because the price of crude oil in the international market is high, and the government did away with fuel subsidies, and now the whole burden has been transferred to the citizens, and the citizens now have to undergo high prices when fueling their cars, when buying milk, because apparently the milk was transported to the shops. Crude oil is literally the backbone of most economies, because you look at the production cost, not just the production cost, but also the supply chain for the milk to be produced from the industries, for it to reach even the supermarkets, for it to reach the retailers, for it to reach the consumer. The supply chain has to use crude oil in it. It has to use petroleum products. It has to use. So that is why crude oil is the backbone of most economies. And once you do away with fuel subsidies, I don't know who advises some of these people. I've never understood. And there's somebody called Emmanuel Zomai on my Facebook really trying to sell some airtime, but I don't think you're going to get any customer here, Emmanuel. You might be wasting your time. So anyway, you wonder who advises some of these people, but then you realize some of them are not even doing it because they want to. It was what I was saying, coercion. They are not just being coerced, they are being ordered. You're being told you have to have this, you have to do away with the fuel subsidies because you need to clear this debt by this time. Therefore, the subsidies on crude on petroleum products are really high, so you do away with them, and the moment you do away with them, then you get more money to pay debts and more money to steal. So that is why Nigeria is going through this. The other reason was Bola Tinubu floated the Nigerian currency. He let the currency get its true. It is what they call in economics devaluing. That is the government stopping. Sometimes the government looks at, as I said, most African countries. So let me talk about floating of the currency and devaluing. So most African countries are import reliant, and so most governments will not allow for its currency to have low value in comparison to the US dollar, because they are import reliant. They'll need the US dollar to import things, and therefore if you let your currency be too low, then the cost of living in your country is going to be high, because apparently you have to have US dollars for you to import anything in Africa. You use US dollars to foot the bills. But I'm going to tell you about an idea that they had proposed about their free Exima Bank. That was a whole new concept that for the papers, it looked so good on paper, but it never materialized. So most African countries, they do not allow their currency to be so devalued in comparison to the US dollar. So the government intervenes in various ways to make sure the dollar and their currency is strong. So they intervene in various ways. But then there's something in economics that they call floating of currencies. Floating exchange rate is where the price is determined by supply and demand forces. So when a currency is floated, that means the government is not doing anything about the currency. They are not going to intervene if it reaches whichever amount. They just let it be controlled by market forces. So they are not going to intervene. They are just going to let the currency float on itself, literally floating. And therefore, that in most cases devalues the original currency, the country's currency, because of this. An example is a country like, let's take a country like Ethiopia, for example. Ethiopia exports a lot of coffee. But apart from coffee, what else do they export? Nothing. And in what state do they export their coffee? As raw unprocessed coffee. Does unprocessed coffee really have any value as compared to processed coffee? No. So the value of their export is going to be really low. It's okay, they're exporting millions of tons of coffee, which my English teacher told me it's coffee, not coffee. I don't know how true that is. So they're exporting millions and millions of tons of coffee every year. That's true. But the value is low because they are exporting unprocessed coffee, whose value is low. And therefore, of course, their export value is going to be lower as compared to their import value. As in, they are going to use more money importing things than the money they are generating exporting, because they are importing finished products. They actually export coffee as coffee berries, and import Nescafe as processed coffee. So if you let a currency float, if you let a currency get its real market value, then it is going to devalue your currency, because unless you are a really good exporter, you are exporting, let's say you are exporting processed goods, you are exporting electronics, you are a very industrialized country, then floating a currency would be a good idea if you are a really industrialized country and your export value is high. Then go ahead and float the currency. But then if you look at a country like Nigeria that relies on crude oil and agriculture, and the crude oil that they export, they're going to export it as low value crude oil. They're going to export it to Korea, and then Korea is going now to send it back to Nigeria as processed. I don't know if crude oil is processed or whatever term they use in the mining industry, but that is what happens. So when Tinubu floated the currency, he devalued it. So when he devalued the naira in comparison to the US dollar, now importing anything to Nigeria is going to be hell expensive. And everything in Nigeria is imported. So everything is going to be expensive now, from the raw materials. And that is the reason why Nigerians are out in the streets. That is why Nigerians are out in the streets protesting. So the government can intervene if it wanted to. There are economic policies that allow the government to intervene and help adjust the currency exchange rates. But of course, knowing very well what happens in Africa and the fact that we do not have leaders, then if the ones who pays the piper do not want the intervention to happen, which they do not want, then the intervention are not going to happen. That is why you see the Nigerian naira going down. That is why you see the naira going down and people on the streets. That is just one example. Go to another country like Ghana. Similar thing happened. A similar thing happened. Nana Akufo-Addo takes power. I don't want to say a call is made, but he makes similar policies, does away with subsidies, floats the currency, starts builds 111 hospitals in I don't know how many months. So the building of the hospitals was a whole new scheme, and a lot of money was lost during the building of the 111 hospitals. And now Ghana defaults on loans. And now Ghana, nobody can lend to Ghana anymore. And they are in a hole and they can't be able to dig themselves out. And so what do? They get someone who tells them, I can take you out of this hole. So you just sits down with Nana Akufo-Addo and asks Nana, what do you really want? And the Ghanaian president tells them, I want to get out of this hole. And so they suggest, I'll get you out of this hole, but I'm going to put you in a deeper one. Are you okay with that? In Ghana with all its intelligence, and the President Nana with all his intelligence agrees. And so they have been taken out of one hole and they are now in a deeper one. The IMF bailed them out. That is the word. Bailed them out. The word they used was bailed them out. What they didn't add was bail them out of one hole and put them in a deeper one. Because the money was not given. It was lended. So they're still going to pay it. But I understand what Nana is trying to do. Nana is trying to do what all African presidents do. Transfer the burden. You know, he's going to leave power in the next, I don't know if General Mosquito is with me today. I don't know when Ghana is going to leave. President Nana is leaving power. But African presidents transfer the burden. That's what they always do, you know. And thank you, Jiba Jaba, for reminding me that raw crude oil is refined. Refined is the term, not processed. It is refined. And so Nigeria exports oil that is not refined and they import refined oil. Shout out to them, by the way, for that. That is why they are on the streets. Because of such stupidity. Not by the citizens, because they really don't have a say. They never even voted in Tinubu anyway. But the government. So a big shout out to the leaders for such stupid policies. A loud of applause. And I was talking about before Tinubu, I was talking about Ghana and how presidents in Africa, African leaders transfer the burden. They really don't care. They just, you know, for example, Nana just wanted to clear his name, you know, just wash his hands. I left, you know, he did not want the economic breakdown to have happened during his time. So what does he do? Take another loan. I'm not going to pay it. The next president will. So take a bigger loan to pay this loan. And the bigger loan that I've taken has higher interest, accrues higher interest rates than the one that I eventually had. But now I'm going to leave office and tell the people I left the economy running. And the next politician who will be selected in there, I don't want to use the word elected, I don't like lying. So the next president who's going to be selected in there will now find a bigger debt, and they're going to take a bigger debt to pay this bigger debt and leave it to the next person. And what the economy does is it goes down, it continues, goes down the spiral. So it goes down like this. Happened in Kenya during Uhuru's time. Took loans to pay loans. No, took bigger loans to pay loans. And now the bigger loans have bigger interest. And now the current president will now take even much bigger loans to pay the bigger loans. And the next one will take even bigger loans. And we'll have a Sri Lanka in a few. Oh, or a Ghana. Ghana is literally the Sri Lanka of Africa, only that they got bailed out by the big daddy. So a similar case happens in Ghana. Policies are implemented, policies that are not meant to help anybody. And then the policies come to the back of a system, a system that has been tailored to keep you poor. So policies on top of a system, policies on top of a Bretton Woods system, not just a Bretton Woods system, but literally every system in Africa is designed in that way. So policies come into a system that then whatever is left lands into the hands of corrupt leaders. Corrupt. It's like one of the qualifications for you to vie for any position in Africa, you have to be corrupt. If you are not corrupt, trust me, you are not getting you can't make it here, bro. Nah, it doesn't work like that. I think in the interviews they're like, do you have a corruption scandal? No? Nah. You're in the wrong place, bro. You have to have a corruption scandal in order for you to succeed. That's the way things work here. And so the little that is left is stolen. Now we have a rich country. I don't know if you people realize, I always think about this most times, and it doesn't even look like irony, sarcasm, or it doesn't look like even irony to me. It looks like something I can't explain, that people in DRC die of hunger on top of gold deposits. You're sitting on top of gold deposits, but you haven't eaten in 3 days. Not your fault, really, because there's nothing you can really do. You did not even vote in the current politician anyway. There's nothing you can really do. But isn't it ironic? Isn't it sad? Ironical isn't even the word. That people die in continent, in a place that is so rich. Yeah. And Ziba Jaba says, if you are not corrupt, we can't trust you. And this is funny because it reminds me of where I come from. I come from a region called Mount Kenya. So we have this female governor whose name I'm not going to mention. She was caught with a major corruption scandal. Millions of money, cash. She had stolen in cash, by the way, when she was a minister, and she was never fired. But after the end of her tenure, she went back to her county and vied for a governorship role. And so the citizens there were arguing that it is true she stole, but at least she would bring part of the money back home. And they voted her in for that. So she would steal and then go to church fundraisings and donate a lot of money, build classes, and then have a large poster written, this class was constructed by Her Excellency, then her name. People knew that she had been caught with millions of money in cash, but now they were like, at least she used to steal and bring it to us. She's a good thief. And they voted her in. This is her second term. So if you're not corrupt, you can't trust you is really true. It is actually true. And it is a case everywhere. So the other reason why Africa is in an economic deathbed is corruption. And it is to the core. To the core. It starts with everybody. Everybody is corrupt here. Everybody is corrupt. You should come to Kenya and speak with a foreign accent. Doesn't matter whether you are black, white. The moment the traders realize you are not from, they are gonna charge you 10 times the cost of that product. Something that you're supposed to buy at $2, you're gonna buy at $10. The moment they realize you have a foreign accent, I don't know whether to call that being opportunistic or corrupt, but it is being corrupt. It is unethical from a business. It is being unethical. It is corrupt, and so the corruption runs deep, not just the leaders. It runs deep. It runs deep to a point that you can't get a job anywhere if you don't know someone. You doesn't matter how qualified you are. What matters is how much did you pay for the job. You're gonna get the job. People are gonna line up for interviews, but the person who's gonna get the job is sitting at home. He has been told when to report. And you with your 3-piece suits and crammed English are there trying to convince the board, the hiring board. They already know who they are hiring. They already have money in their accounts. So it is like that. It's not just about the leaders. If you've been to Africa, the corruption runs from I don't know if it trickled from up downwards or it went, but I think it trickled from up. Sometimes you do things out of necessity, because I think it trickled downwards from the leaders, from the politicians. That is why we are in a deathbed despite being in riches. Economic deathbed, to be specific, with countries like a country like Benin. A country like Benin is headed the Ghanaian way. A country like DRC, but at least I say it for DRC. DRC is going that way. Despite it being the richest country in the world, looking at their inflation and their currency and their economic situation, it can't be put into words. You just need to see it for yourself. They had an outbreak of cholera, and they couldn't even find money for vaccines. DRC, the richest country in the world. The outbreak is still there. People are dying. I just don't have the updates on the number, but they are not. It is not looking good. For DRC, they can say it is because of the political instability going on there. That is why they are having an economic breakdown, of which it makes sense, because you wake up in DRC, you are more worried about not dying than making money. Your main worry is making sure you don't die by evening, not having money. So you look at that, you look at Ethiopia, you look at Sudan, you look at Somalia, you look at Cameroon with its stupid war. They are waking up and worrying about not dying than making money. And so this sponsored chaos, this sponsored wars, because they are sponsored. And I told you a lesson that I was taught by a good lecturer of mine was, when handling an investigation, the first thing that you look at is motive. If you want to know who did it, look at the motive. Who would have wanted it done? And so the sponsored was I was talking about at the beginning of my show, I was talking about the hyperinflation that happened in Zimbabwe in the late 2000s that saw the Zimbabwean currency go down the drains. And by the way, that is where the Nigerian naira is headed. It is headed the Zimbabwean way. And Zimbabwe right now does not have a currency. It went down to the drains. They did not experience inflation. It was hyperinflation. Like nothing could, you needed this much amount of money to buy bread. they had to do away with and bring in the US dollars. And I told you about how in my business class in high school, we were taught that Zimbabwe went that way because it printed money. So that was the narrative that we were given, which I now believe was false, was not true. That when that is, so they told us Zimbabwe realized it was broke and decided, why can't we print money and give everybody stacks of money and hyperinflation occurred. But then, as I said, always look at the motive. Who would have benefited if Zimbabwean currency went down and now Zimbabwe had to use the US dollar? Who's benefiting from it? Who's the main beneficiary? The moment you know who's the main beneficiary, then the moment you have identified the motive, then you have the culprit. It is the same way Nigeria is headed. Who would really benefit if the Nigerian naira went down? Because it is going down, unless a few changes here and there are made, unless a revision of financial policies, unless we have a revision of financial policies. Look at the Ghanaian Sedi. Is it a Sedi or it's the Sedi? Look at the Ghanaian Sedi. I don't know if I'm getting the pronunciation right, but General look at it and the way it's headed. Who would actually benefit if it went down? And that is going to answer you, who's pushing for these policies, because you don't have to be an economic expert. You don't have to be an economic expert for you to know that doing away with fuel subsidies in Africa is a bad idea. You don't have to be an economic expert to know that. So it is not, they're not even making mistakes, you know. They're not making mistakes. They know what they're doing. Someone who never went to university will tell you that doing away with fuel subsidies is not a good idea. Anybody who never went to university is going to tell, who has never stepped in an economic class, is going to tell you, don't float your currency. You don't have enough exports. You're gonna devalue. But who? I don't know. I really don't know. And General Mosquito is with me. Good day to you, General Mosquito. And Jiba Jaba says, when you draw water from a river that a hippo poops in, you're gonna be sick. These leaders are a disgrace. That was in reference to what is happening with the whole cholera outbreak that has killed hundreds of people, and more are gonna die because there are no drugs. The people are more concerned about guns and wars than about treating people. And that is why people are dying of cholera. And those who do not die of cholera are being killed by rebels. And it makes even my whole discussion about economics and economic deathbed look ridiculous, because how are we even going to recover economically when people in most African countries are more worried about not dying than making money? Trust me, anybody living in Tigris, that is in Ethiopia, is worried about not dying than making money. Anybody in Kivu right now, that is in DRC, is not worried about being rich. They are worried about not dying. Anybody in Mogadishu, Somalia right now is not worried about buying the latest iPhone. They are worried about seeing tomorrow, you know. So makes the whole discussion about economics look ridiculous, because there's so much that we need to fix from the system. Not from the system, it is the system that needs to be fixed. And I told you I'm going to tell you about this whole new idea they had proposed. Very good on paper. I guess it was written by ChatGPT. And General Mosquito is asking me, when are you going to start wearing a suit and a tie so you look like the big time reporters? The day I wear a suit and a tie, I'm going to start giving you propaganda, General Mosquito. The day I look like one of those mainstream MSM, mainstream puppets, then that is the day I'm going to tell you that the African Union is here to help Africans, because that is the narrative that they sell. But a big shout out to you. I wear suits, by the way, and ties. So they had proposed this whole idea, this whole idea of General Mosquito making my very serious discussion not look so serious. So they had proposed this whole idea of a bank called the AFRCA Bank. It was actually established and started. And let me tell you, the whole idea of AFRCA Bank on paper looks amazing. On paper, it must have been drafted by an AI. They don't think any African leader, politician has that much IQ to draft. So the AFRCA Bank is this bank where, for example, if I'm a Kenyan and I want to buy jollof rice from Nigeria, right now in the current economic infrastructure, in the current economic setting, if I want to buy anything from Nigeria, I'm going to need to use the US dollar. I mean, me, a Kenyan, and you, a Nigerian, for us to transact, we need the US dollar. Do you know how ridiculous that is? Why is the US coming in here? I've even gone far. For me, a Kenyan, to buy something from an Ethiopian, you can walk to Ethiopia. If you are strong enough, it is far, but they are our neighbors up here. But for me to buy anything from Ethiopia, I need the US dollar. And so the AFRCA Bank was this idea that, why don't we have a bank that deals with settlements? If I need to buy anything from Uganda, I'm going to pay the Ugandan in Kenya shillings. And how will the Ugandan get his money in Ugandan shillings? The AFRCA Bank is going to settle the payment. So I'm going to deposit my Kenya shillings on this bank, and then the bank is going to pay the Ugandan. Doesn't that idea look so good? On paper, it does look good. It does look amazing. It was an amazing idea on paper, but then you remember the infrastructure and the ones who are proposing the idea, and the fact that the idea is going to be run by the African Development Bank, and then you realize it is just another whole fallacy. But it looked amazing, the fact that if I want to buy anything from Central African Republic, then all I need to do is I go to the whoever is selling me whatever they are selling. I don't know what they sell in Central African Republic. I go there, pay in Kenya shillings, and the person who I've bought from will be paid in their currency. So I really don't need the US dollar. And of course, that would have meant that the US, we really would not be having this whole, we have problems when your currency is devalued in comparison to the US dollar, then you are messed up. You can't even import maize from Tanzania because you need the US dollars to import maize from Tanzania. And so it was a good idea, but forwarded by the wrong people and in the wrong system. So I don't trust it anymore. If I had it from Jiba Jaba, it would have sounded amazing because I know but then and Jiba Jaba tells me each middleman adds on their cut that is in the currency exchange. So in the proposed idea, they had said the AFRCA Bank was not profit motivated. It was more about developing Africa. And that's why I'm telling you, Jiba Jaba, this was an amazing idea, but by the wrong people and in the wrong system. So they had said it was a non-profit-based exchange bank whose main objective was to see Africa trade more with itself. Those are the literal words in the objective. And if we had such a thing, let us assume we don't know everything that is happening with the system. But imagine for a moment we had such a thing where I did not need US dollar to transact with Nigeria. Then we would not be having this woman on your screen right now protesting, talking about how she can't afford jollof anymore. Because she would not need the US dollar. Nigeria is getting this messed up because their currency is doing badly against the dollar. And now they can't import anything. should not be here complaining. She should be enjoying her Saturday afternoon somewhere in Abuja. And so, all said and done, at the end of the day, the biggest contributor to Africa's economic troubles is the Bretton Woods system that was introduced. Allegedly, you look at the IMF's objectives and you're gonna laugh. So apparently, the Bretton Woods conference was in 1944. I might be wrong, but it was around that time. Whether there was an African country that was independent at that time, I do not think. Most African countries got independent as from 1960. The likes of Tanzania, they were among the first. The likes of Ghana, and one of the best leaders, one of the best leaders Africa has ever seen. I don't think Africa is ever gonna see a man like Kwame Nkrumah. They were among the first countries to get independent. That was in 1960. But the Bretton Woods Conference happened in 1944, and they set up the Bretton Woods institution, that is the IMF, the World Bank, and the rest. And the objective was to help low-income countries from Africa attain financial independence. You know, sometimes you need to be a little bit creative for you to lie, because you can't be a liar and dumb at the same time. You can't be a liar and stupid. One of them is gonna backfire on you. Either decide to be either a liar or stupid. You can't be both. Unless you are. You can't be both. You can't be both. Let me not go there. So the fact that they say that they established the Bretton Woods systems to help African countries, the third world countries, which were not even independent, they were still for example, Kenya was still a British protectorate, Cameroon was still a British protectorate, Nigeria was still I don't know who colonized Nigeria, by the way. So all those countries were still under colonial rule, that is except for, apart from maybe Ethiopia, which was never colonized but was colonized. Nigeria was still under the British rule. Nigeria was also colonized by the British people. And so, how do you make a system? How do you make institutions to help countries that are not even existent? They did not exist at that time. They were still under colonial rule. But apparently, you want to convince people that you made these institutions to help countries that were not there. So, anyways, that is one of the biggest problems we have in Africa, is not just the Bretton Woods system, but the whole foreign systems that run Africa. You look at the judicial system, foreign, to a point that a judge can't make a ruling without having a white, call it whatever you want to call it, white hair on his head. Foreign, archaic education systems that still make us believe that the colonizers came to Africa to help us. That were it not for the British people, Kenya would not be having roads. That were it not for the French people, people in Cameroon would still be dressed in hides and animal skin. That is what the education system teaches. They're going to tell you there is a lake in Kenya, in Uganda, called Lake Victoria. They're going to tell you it was named Lake Victoria because it was first discovered by this white man, and he named it after Victoria, the queen. They actually don't say discover. He said he was the first man to see Lake Victoria. But there were people living there, bruh. Are they not seeing it? And that is the story behind the naming of most. If you hear any foreign name, I don't know, Port what, all those foreign names that you hear, they're gonna tell you it was because he was the first man to see. There was the first man to see Mount Kenya. But there were people living in Mount Kenya. What do you mean the first man? And that is what the education system teaches. That is what the education system teaches. So it is a problem of systems. It is a problem of infrastructures. And I wanted to say it is a problem of infrastructures that have been wrongly designed. But I corrected myself fast because the infrastructures have not been wrongly designed. No, they have been perfectly designed. They have no flaw in them. They have been perfectly designed to attain a certain objective. And oh, brother, they are attaining that objective perfectly. So you have to give it to the architects of the infrastructure because it works. That's why people are dying every day trying to cross over. People are dying every day in Tunisia trying to cross over to Europe because they have given up. Before these illegal immigrants, as they are trying to cross over to Spain, they know that the chances of them dying in the ocean are very, very high. They actually have like a 10% chance of living. But then they look at Tunisia, they look at the country that they are coming from, and they say, I'm taking that 10% chance, bro. No, I'm not living here. I would rather, I'm taking that 10% chance. Now they are on a boat that is not even safe, and now they are dead. Every week, I reported how many? 15 people died on Thursday trying to cross. Others had died on Monday. They are willing to take the risk. I do not encourage it, but I'm just telling you the truth. They have looked at the country that they are from. There was that massacre in what was the name of that massacre in Spain? There was this massacre in Spain where Spain police killed so many Africans. Let me remember the name of the place. Or look it up. I'm not so good at names. But so many people work in Melilla. It's called Melilla. The Melilla massacre. If you can remember the Melilla massacre. So many Africans were killed in the Melilla massacre. But people know that, and they're still trying they're still taking the risk because they look at the place they live in. It is so, there's nothing to live for there, and it is all a product of the system, the perfectly designed system by the designers who designed it to make sure you remain poor, and poor you are.
It's called white supremacy.
And Keith is with me, and welcome to the show, Keith.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. It's afternoon here.
You're explaining white supremacy, Demora. That's what it is. Is it cold now again? You got a coat on. Is it cold? In Kenya?
Pardon?
You have a coat on. Is it cold now again in Kenya?
Yeah. Yeah.
One day, they're begging to get a fan. Can't get a fan. That is cold.
No.
Shit crazy.
It's actually confusing. It's raining and then warm at the same time. So coming to the studio, you need a coat, but then it's also warm.
Okay.
Yeah.
The system design is called white supremacy. Keep the African ignorant. That's why most Africans are ignorant, and keep them impoverished. Because that continent, sad enough, is blessed with everything, what everybody needs in the world. So, stall my puppets. Not gonna let it. Africa is not allowed to develop. It was going on, Jibba. Yeah, Africa is not allowed to they was to honest tell you that Africa is not allowed to develop. It's supposed to be kept in these fake conflicts They push tribal. Hell, they don't introduce most of the tribal shit you have. Africans, you guys think they're different people. Oh, the not you have Joby. Oh, you know the Nigerians, they scamming at Joby. They got the same DNA as you. They're no different than you. But that's what the white man did. You know, the Australians don't say, "Oh, the English, they're so much different." Or the Americans will say, "Oh, look at them Australian white people." They know they the same people. They don't say, "Look at those damn French white people." They know they're the same people. So the Africans. So the problem is that the Africans. It's going to be hard. It's going to be all. It's going to have to be. It's going to be revolutionary. It's all going to be revolutionary. It's going to happen. Pushed by the youth. Not going to be the old ones. The old Negroes, parents and your grandparents. You got to tell them to shut the fuck up and sit down, or sit down and shut the fuck up, because it's going to be they keep telling you wait on some mythical fake Jesus, wait on some fake mythical Allah, and they never changed. Can't keep waiting. That's why, like you said, everybody is just crossing the damn ocean, because they never been educated to even know that that they're on the richest continent. Most Africans don't even know. They don't even know tomorrow. Can you imagine the ignorance you are? You don't even know you're sitting on the richest continent. You have no idea. You see the poverty. Say, oh man, that shit's poor. But you got the internet now. You're like, man, look at this your place. Look at this.
They would not even be able to comprehend some of that. Telling someone in Zambia that they are sitting on the richest continent, and yet they declared a national emergency due to drought. He hasn't eaten in 3 days, and you're trying to tell them they are in the richest continent. They are not gonna comprehend that.
I know.
They'll be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I sound crazy. I know. I'm exactly right. I sound exactly crazy. I know. I agree with you. But, I agree more. That's how this white supremacy is insidious. It's so wickedly. It's so wickedly brilliant. These people are so wicked. The more, I know. I would sound crazy. Hey, you actually still on the richest continent on the planet. You're talking about the poverty. Ooh, they sound crazy. That's it. Yeah, you're poverty because the white man put you there. The same people that you worship as your gods and you love them, they're the ones did this to you. You would never 200 years ago, you didn't find no Africans in poverty. Just 200 years ago, didn't find Africans in poverty. But they don't teach. Didn't fit them no food insecurity, because you're allowed to grow all your food. The Africans know how to grow food, so with no starving, with no poverty. But I can't take you back there. Like you said, your mind can't go back there because you don't know. Like, what are you talking about? I'm starving and I'm poor right now. I don't want to hear no shit about no 20 years ago Africa. Get out of here.
Just give me money for food. That's what they tell you. Give me money for food and get out of here.
Yeah, right.
What do you mean? The richest country. I haven't eaten in 3 days. And my president is Bola Tinubu. What do you mean I'm the richest? What do you mean?
Yeah, it's absolutely. It's so insidious. It's so wickedly evil, man. So wickedly evil, Demore. These people have done. It's so wickedly evil. It's psychopathic. To keep, because the African, Demore, is loving. Your nature is loving by nature. Why black people don't know how to be black supremacists. They don't know how to be racist to anybody. It's not our nature. That's why we patronize anybody's store and love it. We do everything that's against our own benefit, Demore, because that's our nature. We're loving. The African would have told the European, as he taught his stupid ass, okay, now we'll help you. We'll help you. We're gonna share. It's more enough to share. Not knowing the European I share. I don't want to share with you, nigga. Dominate. I want to control all of it. Yeah, you're talking about this share shit. That's what we find ourselves in, because the African, you're dealing with the Africans. Hate to say, you're dealing with the African naivety and nicety, and understand that you actually have enemies. African today, the more does he know he has enemies. Most Africans don't know. Shout out to some of them on TikTok tell the truth. Most Africans don't know that these people are your enemies. They don't even know that. Can you imagine? Oh, that like, and I saw these youth, the African youth, though. Said, I grew up my whole life. My mom and dad didn't tell me it was my enemy. They said we had no enemies. I said, damn right, you learning. You got enemies. African people. It is like the more mentioned Mozambique. Mozambique, one of the most peaceful countries ever, until they found gas and oil. Now you got terrorism running around it. There's no terrorism of Mozambique 8 years ago. It didn't exist.
It is the same case in DRC. I was telling you, in DRC there are so many rebel groups that they have run out of names.
Yeah.
They now call themselves. There's a rebel group called Keith. Then there's another one called Anti-Keith. They don't even have an agenda. We just don't like Keith. So they are rebel groups with the name Anti in front of them, so that they just hate the other. If you ask them what is your agenda, they don't. They just hate the other group.
And the problem is, she exactly right. And man, years because they knew Congo was rich when they first stole the shit. The people of Congo haven't had peace for 200 years since the white man got control of the country. They didn't have peace at all. At least some Africans had a little bit of peace, but these no good bastards knew even back then that Congo was very wealthy. Well, you read Leopold's letter. Tell these dumb niggas that they'll get theirs in heaven while we steal all the shit today. These niggas, make sure these niggas don't want nothing. Tell them God is gonna give them this in heaven tomorrow. So tell these retarded niggas that, hey, Jesus loves you and you don't need nothing. It's better to be poor. That's in the letter tomorrow. Better to be poor, you poor dumb niggas, than to have money.
and talking of DRC, it was this week that we saw the US Secretary of State release a statement telling Rwanda to stop financing the March 22 movement.
Because Rwanda's broke. That man don't come with no damn poor ass Rwanda. That's a scam because they know people starting to figure out. They know Kagame no good ass behind it. But where's Kagame funding? Kagame's a moron. And then they start shout out to these youth on Africa. I love you guys, man. You guys start. They started. Kagame was trained by the CIA, but I've been through that. So not everybody. The youth are not as dumb as everybody knows. They're digging for information. Kagame, Museveni, and nothing but CIA puppets. That's why they were put in power. That's why they're there. That's why they're kept in power. America, with its wicked ass, this is the damn headquarters of white supremacy. This is the headquarters of the evil empire. This is the capital of the evil empire. So they're trying to save face to more like, as they fund the genocide and shit, they want to look like it's called like plausible deniability. We told Kagame to stop it, and behind the scenes they're on the phone with him. Hey nigga, keep it up. Now you want to stay president? You take your resource out tonight. You got that? Yeah, boss. I understand what you. Yeah, we're going to give you cover. We're going to tell you want you out of there. But you keep your bitch ass up in there. Now you know that, right? Because if you don't, we'll get rid of you and get another puppet up in there. Okay, you understand that, right? I understand, boss. I understand. I'll do some more dumb speeches and have your propagandist morons on YouTube tell me Kagame's a great man and look what he's doing in Rwanda. Yes, boss, thank you. Makes me look good. Okay, good. But they're starting to figure out it's me. They're starting to know it's me behind all this shit. Me in the 70s. They're starting to just you don't worry about that, nigga. Just do what you're told to do, okay? We'll be worried about that. We'll handle the press. You just shut the fuck up. Do what you're told. Okay. I will do, boss. So that's what you got. That's what you got going on. Why Kagame moronic ass was put as president. Why his whole story a lie. He's been a CIA agent from the beginning. Him and Museveni both. So that's why we have these kabuki theaters. Oh, the West is mad at Museveni. Only time they'll be mad when his ass don't go into Congo and be stealing. If he ever does that, then you know they're mad and they're coming to get rid of his ass immediately. He's out of there immediately, Demore. He's gone.
I'm actually thinking Africa should stop borrowing from the IMF right now and start borrowing from Rwanda, because Rwanda must be very rich. It is financing 2 rebel groups in Africa. That is the March 23 movement, the M23. It is also the one financing the Red Tabara group in Burundi. You know, so how rich? Yeah. Rwanda must be very rich.
Yeah, Rwanda ain't got no money. That you know what ain't Rwanda. You know it's the white man. You know what ain't no Rwanda. Where did Kagame always get money? Then we look up Kagame's wealth. Kagame just is the damn Uhuru family worth $500 billion. From where? All right. This Negro ain't never made shit, never created shit, never invented shit. He just creates a lot of shit. a lot of displacement in other countries because of his white masses. Explain his wealth. Explain it. He shouldn't be wealthy in a country that's impoverished. Rwanda's poor, 10 times poorer than Kenya. 10 times. Explain this Negro's wealth. Let me see let me ask Google, what is the GDP of Rwanda? It can't be little nothing. Okay. What is the GDP of Rwanda? Let's see here. GDP. What is the GDP of Rwanda?
It must be a good one. It must be a good one for it to be able to.
Rwanda with $11,070,356,519.48, according to World Development Indicators.
11 billion, one of the poorest countries in Africa. 11 billion. Kenya's at least 10 times wealthier than that. Kenya's got
and yet they want us to believe that Rwanda is sponsoring chaos in 2 African countries, 2 of them, DRC and in Burundi.
Yeah, because they know the more you have been educated. They know 11. Let me share my screen just to show it. Look at this. This is one of the poorest countries on the planet, not just in Kenya, not just Africa. Rwanda's poor. How the hell that's exactly what Demore is saying? Who's fun? It can't be them with this only $11 billion in profit. This shit. Let me know my screen. See it. Can you guys see my screen?
Up. Yeah, it's up.
$7 billion. This is impoverished. Countries impoverished. Okay? This is the gross domestic product. They're poor. Kenya's at least Kenya's at least 100 million, at least. 100 billion at least. And Kenya's considered a poor country. Let's see. What is the GDP of Kenya? It's 100 billion at least. No lie. Damn, I talked. Damn, I'm sorry. Let me see. What is the GDP? What is the GDP of Kenya? Damn, 110 billion.
Yeah.
In 2021, the nominal GDP for Kenya was $110,347,079,517.36, according to World Development Indicators.
Kenya is 11 times richer.
Yeah.
11 times, and this is actually impoverished too. 11 billion. That's poor. It is. I'm gonna be honest. It's poor. It's poverty. So 1,100 billion, right? It's Kenya. And you got a country that's number 11 billion. Kenya is 11 times richer than
Rwanda.
Than Rwanda. It's not even close. It's earth-shakingly. Like Demore just said, how can Rwanda fund wars? It can't, because it's not funding them. Can't. Rwanda is impoverished. It's impoverished. So how the fuck can it afford these wars? It can't. It can't. And even Nigeria's what was Nigeria about 400 billion? Even Nigeria's impoverished. I think it's like 400 billion. What is the GDP of Nigeria? It's like 400 billion. No.
According to Wikipedia, the Gangster Disciple Nation, also known as Gangster Development, is an African-American street and prison gang which was formed in 1968 by Larry Hoover and David.
Let me Chicago. I'm going to talk about that. Let me see here. What is the GDP of Nigeria? 440 billion impoverished.
Nigeria is 4 times richer than
Nominal
Kenya.
GDP for
Not
Nigeria
really.
was 440,833,583,992.48,
Not really.
according to World Development Indicators.
Now, really, it's actually poorer than Kenya because you got 260 million Africans in Nigeria. You only got 60 million in Kenya. So Kenya's richer than Nigeria. Kenya's richer than Nigeria. See, the numbers are bigger, of course, but the population is much larger. That's why. But per capita, Kenya is richer than Nigeria because I'm pretty sure the shilling is higher than. Let me see what the shilling matched the currency rate between the shilling and the
It is the Kenyan currency is stronger than the Nigerian one. It is among the strongest in Africa.
Yeah, so stronger than this one because Nigeria is impoverished. But all these African countries are impoverished on purpose. Because you got a low budget country like India doesn't have any really raw assets. I know India's going to be in the trillions at least 1 or 2 trillion, maybe 3 now. Let's see. What is the GDP of India? God damn, it's up to 3 trillion.
In 2021, the nominal GDP for India was 3,176,295,065,497.24, according to World Development Indicators.
Shit.
The 0.176 that is there is from scams. You must have stolen it from.
Now, this country, India, should be richer than no African nation. You know? And let you know they haven't been feathered with. They're tampered with about white people, but not as much. This country here should no African country be less than $3 trillion. None of them. None of them. So let's let you just want you be able to know when your country's been tampered with purposely by white supremacy. That's why you don't got no rebels running around India and shit. Only rebels in all these rebel groups. Why they run around in India and all that other shit? But then Africa running around. All these separatist groups because of this, because of the wealth in Africa. Africa is fraudulently kept impoverished.
So I was trying to check the overall GDP of Africa, and it is 3.1 trillion.
Damn, less than the damn India. What?
Yeah, that is the whole of Africa combined.
Wow, can you imagine? The richest guy. Imagine that means the theft is on I already know it was, but the theft is on an astronomical number. The theft is astronomical in Africa then.
It has actually been rising. It is the highest because initially it was 2.1 trillion.
Yeah, that means it's still the theft. I guess they gotta stop some of the theft. Theft in Africa is astronomical. That's why I want you guys to break this down. Understand? They said the continent is less wealthier than fucking India, which is a lie. Because the richest continent is Africa. But let's see what Google said. Everybody knows it. He said, well, we considered, everybody knows it is. What is the richest continent on the planet? Africa. Yeah, we know it's Africa. Africa number 1.
Continents frequently mentioned on the web include Africa, Asia, and Antarctica.
Antarctica? What are you talking about? Sound crazy. I get no shit out no South Pole. Fucking talk. Asia, not even close. And the thing you called Asia right there, you already got that wrong. You got Saudi Arabia. That's Africa. That's Northeast Africa. They've even taken the African land. They even stole part of the African land and named it Asia. That's not Asia right here. That's Africa. It sits on the plate of Africa. This is the richest continent, hands down. Not even close. No continent even close to Africa. Not no Asia. Not no continent they call Europe. It ain't a continent. Not America. Not North America. There's no place richer than Africa. Not even close. That they just laugh Asia. Okay, yeah.
What is even crazier? What is even crazier is that Nigeria is the highest GDP in Africa.
I know. People in poverty.
477.
And people are impoverished more because
they are out in the streets. They have been out in the streets for the past 1 week.
Yeah,
that is the video that we were watching of this woman. They are out in the streets because apparently they can't be able to afford anything anymore.
And they're impoverished. And you got a government full of puppets. And the African puppet is so wicked. They put the most wickedest niggas in power, Demore. That you see you have a heart. You think about, these are my people. I must do something. They're so wicked. They don't give it. I said, they groom all these wicked puppets. They're so wicked. I like African people. You got to overthrow these people. You got people in power. People trying to stay in power, like Senegal. I suspend the Constitution. Everybody's trying to do that with 70 and Paul Beard shit, where they stay in power 40 years, but they keep stealing from the continent. So, see, the average African don't know what me and Demore just did. There's no debate whether Africa is the wealthiest continent on the planet. It's not debatable. It is. So now you got a paradigm. How's Africa so wealthy and Africans so poor? That's why I think they don't want to teach you history, Demore. Because you go back to history, Africans were the wealthiest people on the planet. That's why these people wanted to invade it. Go ahead, Demore.
Africa, I heard you talk about Africa being so poor yet being so rich, and being so rich yet being so poor. And I thought of Ghana, which is one of the countries in Africa that is in an economic deathbed, literally. And Ghana produces about 40 million barrels of crude oil. That is from January to June. That is in 6 months. It produces 40 million barrels of crude oil. How do you explain a country producing 40 billion barrels of crude oil, in addition to their coffee, in addition to their gold, in addition to, but still, it had to take the IMF bailing them out
because you got a system. I told you, Demore. I said, okay, you got a system, right? So these Africans in the 1940s say, hey man, these white people stolen all our shit. We got to start going to war against these whites. So you had a group of Africans who realized we're not gonna be worshiping these people. The worship shit's got to stop. We got to fight these people. They've stolen all our land and made us slaves on our own continent. So that's when we start getting these revolutions popping up all around Africa. So the white man knowing that too many of these niggas, we can't fight all of them, but they're still stupid. They're still stupid though. And they're really uneducated. They're still dumb, and they still love us. So what we're going to do? We're going to devise the scheme, the banking scheme, to keep them impoverished. They're not going to know it. We're going to, we'll do all kind of platitudes. The more I'll let you in the building. The more you're right. You've been fighting for justice, Demore, and I'm with you fighting for your justice. So we're gonna come up with a economic thing that's gonna work for both of us. You're gonna be like, yeah, okay, finally, you're gonna let me set the table, be respected. In my mind, I'm not letting you be respected, nigga. I'm about to bamboozle you because I know you don't know shit. You know everybody knows how to fight eventually, but you don't know my economic scheme I'm about to set up to keep you impoverished. So I'm gonna set up the Bretton Woods Accords and say, everything's gonna be pegged to the dollar. I said, but in order for you, when you start getting free, you African people, since you don't know how to develop shit, you're really backward and stupid. I want you also put in all my political system, my fake democracy. We're going to set that up in all your countries. We're not going to let you go back to any African form of government. No. That's backwards. You niggas are stupid, man. Come on. We're going to have you have a parliamentary system or democratized system, whatever, a republic, but it's going to be our system. Okay. Then, we're going to have you devalue your currency. Why are you going to do that? Because it'll make it better for you to start industrializing if we devalue all your shit. So all your shit's going to be pegged to the dollar, okay? And then we're going to create something called the WTF, WTO, the World Trade Organization. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to set a bunch of rules up where you import most of your shit from me because you niggas don't know how to do nothing. You know how to manufacture nothing yet. So it's just going to be temporary though. They don't plan to be. You're going to import all your stuff from me. You're going to give me money to import everything. You're not Okay, well, we haven't learned anything that you have been colonizing us. You don't know. So you got a moron sitting at the table making negotiations back in the late 50s, early 60s, talking about everything's going to be imported. So you're making them wealthy. And see, and we need not stop, our mining companies being in here. You don't know how to extract shit from the ground. We'll just give you a percentage, right? We'll give your country a percentage. You don't know the percentage is fucking weak. They still stealing all the money out of there. The deals are so fucking bad. It's absolutely crazy. The deals make no sense. Africa, Maury, owes nobody no money. Doesn't owe the IMF shit, World Bank shit, the Chinese shit. They've been stealing out of Africa, Maury.
Mm-hmm.
And they're giving you bad loans to keep you impoverished. Africa owes nobody nothing. So once you have a strong leader that's able enough to understand the build of military, a real military, not from the white man, not from the Chinese man, a real military, and then you go and say, like, Gaddafi was nothing, fuck you. Then we go to war. We're creating a currency right now, backed by African wealth. See, right there, you go from impoverished to wealthy because all the resources come from you. Because the American dollar, the fake money that the IMF gives you and the World Bank, tomorrow, it has no intrinsic value. It's based on absolutely nothing. That's the dirty scam. It's worthless. I'm giving you worthless paper, Demore, for your real resources. That's why I don't want you to make a real currency, because you'll back your real currency by the wealth in the ground of Africa, making you the most richest people on the planet. That's why they killed Gaddafi. They thought, we're going to make an African dinar backing about the resources of Africa. And no, you're not. No, you're not. You're a dirty terrorist. Now you're a terrorist, Demore. You're a dirty terrorist. We're going to kill you. You're oppressing your people. No, we're going to give you democracy. Libya's been fucked up ever since. No democracy in Libya's backward. You took a rich country and impoverished it. That was the goal. You're not going to make no African currency. Out of your mind? Unless you got a real military, you're not going to do it. We're not going to allow you to do it. Because it makes Africa wealthy overnight. You stop the current. Why? And then since you think these puppets don't know that? Why haven't none of them, Demore? Any of these puppets in Africa say, hey, we're going to make an African currency. Just the eastern bloc alone, Demore. Kenya, Uganda, Congo, Ethiopia, and just Tanzania alone, you made your own currency.
Mm-hmm.
Your GDP wouldn't be no fucking 100 billion. It'd be in the trillions. It'd be over $100 trillion even the next day. But the problem with that, the white man is coming to see you. That's why he's got military bases in Africa. That's why it's a British base. Now, when it was an American base in Kenya, it's American base in Ghana, American base in Botswana. That's why the bases are there. Not there to fight no fucking terrorism. They created there. If you ever get froggy and said you're going to jump and create a currency, they're already based on a continent to come see you. White man's coming to see you. Because now you're now destroying this whole fake system. Coming to see you, Demore. There you say, you know what? I'm tired of being impoverished. We're going to make a currency. Because you can make a currency the next day, tomorrow. Why haven't none of these puppets done it? You'll be wealthy tomorrow. Tomorrow, Demore. Like overnight. But they know the white man's coming to see them. It's going to be war. There will be war. The white man didn't get rich still in Africa by being nice. All that fake missionary, all those fake books about missionary nonsense. That's bullshit. The missionaries came to help me what? I'm the wealthiest continent. When they come to help me do what? Came to help you out your wealth. White man came to help you do what? But that's the situation we're dealing with. Until, and it's happened. That's why they're scared of the youth. The youth are going to gain back Africa. The youth are going to gain back Africa because that's why these white people are scared to death. Because they hear these youth throwing away this goofy Bible, throwing away this goofy Quran, and it's going to be a snowball effect. When a trend happens, That trend continues. The African youth are waking up. And that's a problem. That's why they're putting soft power back in Africa again. Soft power to get the African to drink and party. Let's drink and party and listen to Afro beats and all kind of dumb nigga shit. That's called soft power. If I keep you distracted from the real power, you gaining back your real independence and your wealth. That's good. So so the white people in there trying to destroy the youth generation. That's why you have your NGOs and all this stuff set up to capture the youth's mind. I need you fucked up and partying and worry about dumb shit. Because if you ever start, a lot of these African kids, and I don't give a shit about that. I need my land back. I need my power back. I need my wealth back. And that's what it's gonna be. So that's why you're gonna see a bunch of NGOs again in Africa pushing partying, LGBTQ, all kind of shit, because that's called soft power. So I don't want to do directly because eventually I know I'm gonna have to use hard power and be war against your ass. But I need soft power so I can control your mind without you knowing it. Think I'm your buddy. Yeah, like that. I'm partying with you niggas. Everything's great. As long as it's great, you still stay impoverished. I let a couple of you goofy niggas have some money, be wealthy. This occasion. What's all this crazy stuff you right now? What is this stuff? GDP rough, please kindly call. What?
I was actually looking at. I was looking at what happened to all the leaders who had. There's someone on the comments trying to sell airtime. By the way,
that's in your Motorola or something, man. Man, get out of here. You goofy nigga, you.
He's trying to scam the people in the comments.
Yeah, you good. Are you Nigerian, you goofy nigga?
Must be. So I was looking at what happened to all the leaders who had ever suggested whoever suggested a common currency, and one of them was Kwame Nkrumah.
Yeah.
He suggested that they be a common African currency. That was in the Monrovian conference in 1961.
That's right.
He was overthrown.
And he was surreptitiously overthrown, Demore. Surreptitiously booted out. He said, hey, nigga, yeah, get your ass out of here.
not only was he overthrown, he was also killed.
Yeah. Well, he said the Guinea. He wasn't killed at that time. He said the Guinea to fester and die. So, and the sad fact, this how white man loves a cruel joke, Demore. They love that, right? Because Kofi Dada Doodoo punk ass is the traitor that helped overthrow Kwame Nkrumah from the CIA, his fucked up daddy. And now he's the president of Ghana. Get how that works. Kofi Dada Doodoo's punk ass daddy helped the CIA overthrow Kwame Nkrumah. And now he's the president of Ghana. See, it gets real. It gets real. That's why Uhuru became the president of Kenya. His daddy was the fucked up puppet in the beginning who never fought with no Mau Mau. The Mau Mau hated his ass. But the story in Kenya, they tell you, Jomo fought with the Mau Mau. He's the hero. He's the father of Kenya. That's a lie, Demore. This nigga sold out the Mau Mau. Mau Mau couldn't stand his ass. They knew he was a puppet. That's why he's put in power.
And so they reported that Kwame Nkrumah died of cancer, but his family said that he was poisoned by Western agents.
Of course, because
that is what his family said.
See, yeah, because what happened was, unlike he wasn't a puppet when he first got Ghana, he started making manufacturing instantly. So Ghana needed workers. Ghana was going to say, hey, anybody in Africa coming to Ghana, you'll have a job. He started so many businesses, and white man's like, oh no. You ever do research on it's gonna be hard to find tomorrow, but you'll go research Kwame Nkrumah and the businesses he started in Ghana. He said we gotta unite. If we don't unite as African people, they're gonna come back and get us. That's what they did. We gotta get rid of these borders. If we don't unite, we're too weak alone. These fake countries are set up.
I actually somehow, I don't know how I found those. There was those speeches from the conference that they had in 1961. The Central African Republic president then, his name was David Dako, also said the same. He said Central African Republic as a nation is too small. If we do not unite, the French people will be back. Yeah. And you know what happened to him? He
was murdered.
He survived one assassination attempt and was twice removed from office by the military. I don't know what happened at the end, but he survived an assassination attempt once and was removed twice.
It's called white supremacy. When you Negroes try to unite and try to get rich because you're the wealthiest continent, I'm coming to see you, Demori. Come to see you with some poison, some overthrowing, or if you ever get too power, an all-out war. That's why. See, that's the dirty little secret they never tell you. White man's like, oh, look at the development in Europe. Hey, moron. That's because they're stealing from you. The development in Europe. Are you insane? The Chinese people are so smart. It came from you, up your back. Talking about. See, but they're not going to teach you that the more. You as the African, like you said, I tell you that, you're like, shut up. You see, I'm hungry and I'm broke. Talking about.
I don't even have electricity. What do you mean I'm the richest? You don't have power.
Can you imagine this? Most Africans don't have power.
I just want light in my house.
In the place that wealthy, you have all the power you want. It's crazy. Those African nations don't have power. But you go to the northern ones, those invaders, they got power. These are the poorest countries in Africa with the less resources. How's Morocco always got power? Egypt, Tunisia, goddamn Algeria. Because those are the little brothers of the white man. You're not gonna let them go without. We go down to the place that the Africans still majority in. Everybody's got powers all fucked up. Everybody's got blackouts. What? When you get all the resources that create power, and then you don't even know that. You don't know. You're like, what? Should be nobody. Listen, Demora. Let me, before we get out, we gotta go. Let me just say that. Should be nobody poor. Should nobody be hungry? Should nobody be goddamn in the dark in Mama Africa, Demori, at all, ever? Should nobody be starving? You have the best land is in Africa. That's why they want to hit you with the GMOs now. Destroy the land. Let's see. Does Africa have the most arable land on the planet? Yes. Truth is Africa has the number one agriculture. No shit. The biggest place with all the land, with all the best land. But you're shipping in land from Ukraine and shipping in grains from Ukraine and Russia. You're like, what? What? I got to do my job again. What? What?
And before we come to the end, this is the last. There was this other man who was also part of the group that believed that Africa should be united. Here he is, and you all know what happened to him.
The mummer.
With the return to Leopoldville of
deposed Premier. They helped the puppet over them and killed him. Threw him in the acid.
Colonel Mobutu, taken to Mobutu's headquarters, past a jeering, threatening crowd.
Mobutu, who they let that punk ass bat stand power for 40 years. 40 years.
Mobutu watched as his troops manhandled Lumumba, but promised the pro-red Lumumba a fair trial on charges
of armed
rebellion.
This puppet.
An army prison.
Listen to propaganda at the Morrison. Colonel Mobutu promised him a fair trial. Now Mobutu, everybody knows today was a puppet. But listen to how the white man's propaganda. Mobutu proper. Now we know they kept Mobutu Seseko punk ass in power for 40 years, right? And at that time, the more can look it up. While he was president, never created shit. He's a moron. He was the richest man in Africa. How? When Congo was supposedly impoverished. Because the white man caked them off. Here, take this cake, nigga. We're gonna make you the wealthiest man in Africa. As long as you let us keep stealing out of here. Mobutu, you can look it up. Mobutu was the richest man in Africa when he ruled Congo. Or Zaire, the damn French name, Zaire. So you can look that up. Was Mobutu Seko the richest man in Africa at that time? Yes. How? He never made shit, never invented nothing. How's he the richest man in Africa? He got kicked out by the white man. He's a no good, dirty puppet. No, all these treacherous, backstabbing, retarded ass Negroes, boy. The same thing they do to us in America.
They're saying his personal assets are estimated to be over $5 billion US.
Yeah, that's how he was the richest man in Africa at that time. At the time, you know, not when he was in power, he was the richest man in Africa. Tomorrow, he never made nothing, never invented nothing, never created no factory. So how is he worth? Where'd the wealth come from? He didn't build anything, didn't create anything. That's what they do tomorrow. It's called caking off. They cake off their puppets. They make their family wealthy. Same what they did to Jomo. Same what they did to Kagame right now. Museveni right now. They don't. The 70s are absolute moron. Without them being in power, what would he do? You wouldn't put goddamn Museveni as manager of a grocery store in Kenya, Demore. It'll go under. You wouldn't put this moron as a manager. Shit. Museveni, what aisle is the fresh meat on? I don't know. That's how bad it is. And Mobutu was a raving puppet more. He was an absolute idiot more. I mean, one of the dumbest leaders. How can you be so dumb and acquire $5 billion? I mean, he was an absolute moron. I mean, he might have been dumber than Museveni, to be honest. I mean, he was an absolute dummy. So explain his wealth. How's a dummy acquire $5 billion? What? That's what you're dealing with in Africa, Demore.
I always say these are the leaders Africa never had. The likes of Patrice Lumumba, the likes of Thomas Sankara, the likes of Kwame Nkrumah, the likes of...
Exactly. When you get good leaders, Demore, they're going to kill you. The white man's coming to see you. As John Magufuli in Tanzania. White man came to see him. He's got a heart attack. Yeah. See,
they said it was COVID.
Yeah.
She actually died in Nairobi. We said it was COVID.
Okay, Demore. Okay. Unless you're an idiot, you believe that. Why do you think Ibrahim Traore with all that shit over his face and his hands? Because he knows they got shit that can just poison you if you just touch something.
I don't know if you've noticed this kid, but even Museveni nowadays is always in a mask. Let me share a picture of his latest picture. In all his pictures, he's always in a mask. I think he's also fearing something.
But he's an idiot anyway.
maybe he.
Can you imagine being ruled by this moron for 40 years? God damn. You've been ruled by this idiot with these goofy hats and talking crazy for 40 years. Shit. He blames the British and Idi Amin why the country's poor. No, Idi Amin wasn't no power no 40 years like you. I mean, he was in power like 10 years. You've been in power 40 years, nigga. You blame Idi Amin? It sounds crazy. Yeah. It was Idi Amin and the British while Uganda's in Paris. What? You've been in power 40 years. 40. What are you talking about, man? What have you done? You know, I'm a moron.
And as we come to the end of the show.
Yeah, we're going to tell me this tomorrow. Riddle me this tomorrow. How does a person never finished primary school becomes president and understands economics? This moron here, this idiot here. You got Ruder, got them meeting. You got one idiot meeting another idiot. These are two morons.
I wanted you to see how he's always in a mask nowadays.
Yeah, because he really believed in that COVID shit. They tell his ass anything. He's an idiot. You're dealing tomorrow. You're dealing with a mind. This man's mind never graduated elementary school. This man is an idiot for real. Like Mobutu Seseko. You're dealing with idiots, Demore. And the Africans will make sure that you don't know when you're looking at it. This dude is an idiot. You're supposed to know that, Demore, when he speaks. Any kind of education. You know, God damn, this motherfucker is stupid. You're supposed to know that. You know, he's been a power. This moron's been a power. Yeah, exactly right, Samuel. Shout out to my Jamaican buddy. Yeah, they're useful idiots. That's what they call them. That's what they're called. They're useful idiots. Exactly right, Samuel. That's what they call them. White man calls them behind closed doors. These are the useful idiots. Exactly. Any idea that this Museveni could become a real president? This dude is a moron. This speech, his English is all fucked up. When we talk about you people don't know how to be good people. What?
I think the only good thing he has done in his whole career as a president is banning LGBTQ.
That's just kabuki theater. They will come in because they got the next puppet. That's just some save face with his people. The next puppet they already got ready. Bobby Wine. So we say, "Yay, dick sucking for everybody." He already told you, dick sucking for everybody. Demore. The puppet is ready. He's ready, and the people don't know he's a puppet. So I tell some, they don't know that he's the next puppet. They too stupid. So I tell some girl in Uganda, said, "Moron. Who thinks back? Why thinks with Bill Gates and these other people? You idiot." No, he's our hero. Bobby Wine's going to be a hero against Museveni. He's our hero. I said, God damn, you still dumb as shit. He's not your hero, you moron. He's a puppet. The next one waiting. They're going to put his ass in power. They're going to let this old goopy nigga die out, and they'll just throw Bobby Wine up in there. And then LGBT will be legal because they already told you. Bobby Wine said, yes, we want all the dick sucking in Uganda we can have. That's their next puppet. So they make this moron like he's fighting the fight. This moron probably know the damn difference anyway. This dude's an idiot. But I don't know what they talk about. So we found out the white man. You don't do what you say you do. You don't. He talks the more. This is the mind of an idiot. You don't say what you do. We found out. This is why people don't do what you say you do. You imagine these motherfucking Europeans laughing. In this 70, like, yeah, we still got control of this kind. You know, he's got this goofy nigga's got a mask on, talking crazy. One of these goofy, you should have got when he got one of them goofy hats on too. He's got a mask and a goofy hat. You don't do. We figured out that you people are not. You're not the right kind of people to make deals with, and we must try to do better with ourselves. God damn, this motherfucker should be manager of KFC.
If he's lucky enough. And as we come to the end of the show, HR the messenger is coming up next. So
this retarded Negro shouldn't be any president, not even of a damn chicken company. Get out of here. But anyway, yeah, brilliant. You go to Thomas and Carr, brilliant. Bill Lumumba, all these brilliant men are knocked out, and now you get these morons. Kagame, get these morons. That's not accident. It's not an accident. Go ahead, let you wrap it up.
So that is why Africa has been on an economic deathbed. the systems, corruption, and the systems once again. Majorly the systems. Then you add from the little that is left from the systems is stolen. All of it is stolen.
Exactly. Brilliant. See, that's why you'll never be a president of any African country, Demore. That's why you'll never be president, nigga. You're too smart. They'll come get you. you said the common sense shit that's real. That's true. the more county governor. No. The more drink this tea, drink this chai.
And now they'll say I have cancer, and now I'm dead.
Right. You better have a whole bunch of shit on your body long. When it's hot as hell, you better have sleeves cover up your arms and your hands, gloves on. Better have a mask going all the way up to your eyeballs and shit. The more with a helmet on.
And have a good day, kid.
Right, more. What's love, family? Like I said, I'll be back on the day. I'll be back on the network and YouTube today, family. See if I do like 2 shows. I gotta learn how to do this. Let me show you guys something before Demore leaves. I got I wish it was in Africa, but it's not there because let me now it's gonna be dark. I'm gonna share my screen real quick. So you guys see this? Like got it. Give me 1 second, Demore. Let me share my screen real quick. Give me 1 second. There you go.
All right.
1 second, though. 1 second. Won't be long. 1 second.
And a big shout out to Jiba Jaba, who was with me throughout the show. Samuel. I've never seen Samuel on my show. Welcome to the show. Be joining me every Saturday on the Diary of a Young Black King from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m.
It's early in the morning. The more he's off. He's in the Cayman Islands. You know, that Negro ran away from Jamaica. Look at him. Run away from Jamaica. Jumped on a boat. I'm out of here. I'm out of here, niggas. I'm gone.
It's all love, and he left.
He said, I'm out of here. That's right. Yeah, I'm making $10 around here. You goofy niggas. So he said he's gone, Demore. He don't got time for them up with the Jamaican shit. Let me show you. Let me show you guys something. I don't got time for you backward Negroes. Let me share my screen quick. So, family, yeah, I'm in the dark. I had to put some clothes on, you know, because I was up in here butt naked. Shit. Sure.
I actually thought you were streaming from Nigeria.
Yeah, I'm in the dark in Nigeria. So, family, through TikTok, I gotta learn how to make these. So I gotta get revenue for since this TikTok account is growing so fast now. This is the backup channel is bigger than the regular channel. So we got like 6,000. I mean 6,200, 300 something now. The other channels got 6,040 or something like that. But with this family, they want me to sell their products, right? Because we got to bring in money. I got to be able to pay the more and then more money. So with TikTok, they want me to peddle. They want me to peddle their goods. I'll let you guys see what I'm talking about, right? They want me to peddle their goods. So if you see, okay, here we go. If you see this, pull it up. So now they want me to peddle their goods, right? They sending me free products to do TikTok videos to make money off of, right? So it's all these damn. I can move. If I can move it. So all these products right here, right? So I get samples. If I go to the so don't judge me, family, when you see me. You guys don't do TikTok anyway, goddammit. So see, so when I do this, right, it's a spotlight. So they tell me to add it, and it send me a sample, most likely. This got a sample on it. No, this don't got a sample. Let's see. It's telling me to sell all these things, add them, right? Telling me to make commercials. Let me see. So usually when I press a button on any of these products, right, family, they'll send them to me for free. All these products, they'll send them to me for free. Like, let's see this. Let's go here, right? See, this will pop up. No, not that one. Get one of these pop up. Let me see. I probably got all these already. See, I got all these already. Let me see here. I'm gonna show you guys. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna show you guys something. So it'll tell me. Let me just get one. Pop up. I think I did all these. Damn. No regular count. Let's see here. But anyway, I got time. Usually when all these products pop up, right, it say sample, and I hit a button, and it'll be a sample. So now I gotta prostitute myself. I gotta prostitute myself, right? I gotta prostitute myself, right? I gotta prostitute myself, make these videos because they've already sent me a few. Let me show you. They've already sent me a few free items like this, right? So I'm gonna try to today, right? They've already sent me. They've already sent me, right? And they've already sent me some free products, and I gotta make videos of these things, or they gonna come after me. So they already sent me a couple of free products, right? Now I gotta go make a video. This thing is the greatest thing ever. Get the link below and buy it, nigga. Get the link below. Get it. Get the link below tomorrow and get this shit. So you see that? Let me go on the other account. Let me show you. Let me go. Hold on, guys. Let me go ahead. Let me get it. See, that's the whole marketplace thing, right? See, Jovi's got my account. I was hoping that it'd be in Africa. I'd have made these Negroes do these commercials, but the TikTok is smart. They didn't let the account have all this stuff on it in Africa because they feel like Africans are too poor to have shit to be a part of this shit right here. Right? So let me go. Let me get out of this. Okay, that's the first account, right? Let me go to the next account. Like Jovi's got both of these accounts on her phone. Let me go to let me click on the next account down there, right? Let me click on that next account. So this one, let me click on that account. I gotta prostitute myself. Shit getting rough, niggas. So this account has 6,040. Right? That's my backup account, right? It used to be more than the regular one. So you go here again, right? So let me go to the shop thing. Let me go to the shop thing. See right there. So tell me discount discovered by seller. So some new shit. Share your preferences data authorized by seller. So these people want me to sell more shit. Right? Like I'd be like the more, hey, you goofy niggas, I got a new product here for you retarded bastards. It's gonna be good for you to get it. I've got no choice. People like the more it's pressuring me for more money. And I gotta prostitute myself. So if you guys can hear, these some products I've already requested to come to give me for free, right? So they're gonna mail these ones. Let me see if I can just find one more. If I can find a product that's damn product that's got how much of
And Jiba Jaba has a question. He's asking if TikTok is hooked up with.
Hooked up with who? It's hooked up with Temu? Nah, it's not. I'll put that Temu shit on my phone. They get all your data. Yeah, nah, it's not. It's actually better than Temu. Yeah, it's almost like the same thing, but see, they're trying to compete with YouTube. We're on YouTube now, right? Remember, YouTube stopped letting me make money off my videos years ago because like the more we're here is telling too much truth. No, nigga, no commercials for you. All our accounts are over the damn commercial stuff. We still have commercials on here. They won't allow us to have them no more. Just like when we got the 20,000 subs last year, they took the shit down. We had no strikes. That's why I got so depressed, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. I was suffering from depression because we had built that channel up so quick with 20,000. Like, God damn, this motherfucker just took down the whole channel. It's not even they don't let you get no monetization. I was like, that's why you guys know I wasn't doing my shows every weekend like I'm supposed to. I'm like, man, I'm like the more I'm doing all this research, I do all this effort and all that. They just YouTube said, no, nigga, no truth for these niggas nowhere. Get out of here. So let me go. Let me just show one, y'all. It gotta be somewhere this short. Okay, so they'll send me all these things right here so they take ad, right? Let me just show one that has a damn. It's gotta be one here that says, send a sample. So they'll send me a sample like this, right? They'll send me some shit like this. I go in and they'll say, add. It asks me to add it. I got one sample per. Okay, like this is a sample, right? Like you guys see it, right? So it's a request a free sample, right? Of this product, right? So they'll send this shit to me for free, whatever the hell that is, right? So they'll send me all these free products, right? They'll send all this shit to me on both accounts because I got them on both accounts, right? Because I meet the requirements, right? So I'll hit that button and they'll send me a free sample. And then it'll come in a box like this, right? And I can open up. Hey, you goofy niggas, this is on TikTok. Get your TikTok shit. Now I got come get it. Don't be fucked up. Come buy it. Now I gotta do that. Come get it. I got prostitute myself with niggas like Demora. Hey, come get your goofy shit. Come get it. It's good. It's the bestest in the world. It cleans, it dries, it talks to your mother when you're late. It does everything. I need you goofy niggas to click the button below and buy it. So we get some so I get some goddamn money from that shit. Okay? For me, you can trust me. Trust my face, see?
At that rate, I'm going to order one.
Too bad. Now, see, if this was in Africa, fam, because I be having they ass do all this shit, we could be making some serious cash. Because I don't got time to do it. This shit was in Africa at the studio. We making some serious cash. We can fund everything. Give everybody raises. I don't got time. I'm not home enough to be doing all this shit. Hey, buy this product, nigga. Yeah. Ooh. So now I got to spend time a day researching because it's been long. I've had those products for like 3 weeks. They about to come after me. So you can't be getting free shit tomorrow and don't do it. Now I got to learn how to make these TikTok ads and shit. So that's my mission today, fam. I got to learn how to do this. I got to give everybody raises. I got to be a prostitute. I don't even know this product. Hey, this product's great. This shit might suck, but I got to say it's great. Man, this product is fucked up. I can't say that. Hey, go click the link in the bottom and get it. Get it. Get it like your life depended on it. Jibber jabber. Go get it. Yeah, they're gonna repo. Yeah, but what they'll do, they'll suspend my account, Jim, if I don't start making these goofy videos. They'll suspend my TikTok account because people that send me free shit. You can't, you know, all this expensive shit they send me shit for $200, $300 coming, all this shit coming to the mailbox, you know, and you ain't made no videos on it. The motherfuckers going, I'm about to take your TikTok down, nigga. No more TikToking for you. You know, I got all these goofy products on here and shit. I got to steal, got to prostitute myself. And this on the backup page right here. This the back shit. All these thousands of products on this bitch. There's thousands of this shit on here. But anyway, I'm just saying. So I gotta learn how to sell. And I'm like, I gotta do it because I gotta make sure I gotta make sure everybody can eat. I can't make sure my staff ain't poor in Africa. Goddamn it! So I gotta humble myself and prostitute myself. I got no choice. Hey. How you guys doing out there on TikTok land? Did you ever think about buying? Oh, yeah. Did you ever think about getting? You ever think about getting a fresh bottle of lotion? It can soften your face. It can help you. It keeps your skin from drying. Now click the link. I wouldn't lie to you. Click the link in the bottom. Get the nice soft lotion for your face and your back.
I feel like you don't even need lessons, Keith.
I know. I'm not doing that crazy shit tomorrow.
Jibba Jabba is about to order that lotion.
That's right. Come order it. It's the big bottle, Jibba. It's on sale right now. Click the link in the button. You won't regret it. Click the link, nigga. Please click the link. Let the more get out of here. Much love, family.
So thank you to everybody who was with me throughout the show. We've been talking about economic deathbeds and why most African countries are going through economic meltdown. And Jiba Jaba is saying, Ash, be gone. And I'll see you on Monday on the Black Hot Fire News Update. I hope you enjoyed the rest of your weekend for all of those who are with me and those who are going to watch this stream later. It's always a pleasure.
Is Joby anywhere around?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see if I gotta pay you and HR. See if I can send this money for the phone for Parvin. See if I can send it all one day. If not, I'm gonna be doing this. See, this is Joby in Africa. Now you make sure she goes. I want you buy from. See, it's better when you got pretty women. The more I can get Shamani and Joby to be selling this shit. No, it'd be all, nigga. Would you like some coochie? Buy this.
I say the rest of your day, kid.
You know I can hear you, right?
And I know you're sick. I know you're around. Well, the more I know I'm fucking around.
Good day, kid. I'll see you on Monday on the Black Hot Fire News Update, and make sure to join me next Saturday on.
All right, family, peace. I gotta sell some shit today. More raising the news. The news in Africa. Buy this nigga, or you can be poor. What's